Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, please like and subscribe. But for today's video, I'm gonna be telling you all about how I can now be my true self at work. Okay, so basically, we all know about how black people do code switching and all of that, and like when we're working with, white people or people who don't know our slang, and like, it's just a different type of words you use and the tone of your voice, blah blah blah, right? So I've been pretty much code switching for my whole life, right? But this is like a whole nother thing. So basically, at all of my other jobs, I've worked for the past 10 years because I started working when I was 17. I feel like I was not able to be my true self at work because either my boss or manager, they were old, white, it's kind of weird. You don't really have a lot in common. It feels kind of weird talking to them one on one. I don't know. I just always get uncomfortable around old white people because I'd be thinking, I'm like, dang, I wonder if your ancestors are racist or maybe you were racist. Interesting. Who did you vote for? I don't know. But that's what I just start thinking when I'm like working with people who don't look like me. But that's how it was at basically all of my jobs. And I've worked pretty much like 5 jobs. I don't know. I don't even know how much jobs I worked since I turned 17. But pretty much all of my bosses or managers, they have been older white people or just white people in general, whatever. And pretty much I have like hidden who I am. Like I pretty much just walk into a workplace. I'm quiet, I'm shy, don't really talk to people. People are like, oh, she seems quiet, whatever. And then I kind of like slowly started opening up. So basically, I worked at this one place. It was like a sweatshop. I was working with kids that were younger than me, like literal fucking kids, like 4 or 5 years younger than me. But my boss was still an old white man, right? So I would code switch when I was talking to him. But with the kids, I was able to like, use their slang and like, talk like them. I got along with them, became friends with them, all that, right? And I feel like my personality, I can like switch it between like older people, younger people, people my age or whatever. Like my personality is made for all ages. Okay, I have an amazing personality. Yes, I'm gonna be cocky about it, okay? Um but yeah, so I basically was opening up to people, and then at my next job, I kind of got more closed off in terms of like speaking to my managers and stuff like that, because we all know that managers, HR, they're supposed to help you and blah blah blah, right? So I didn't make a video about the situation yet, but pretty much I used to work at JCPenney. There was an incident with my manager. He was coming on to me. I had screenshots, receipts, whatever. I showed HR, and HR is only meant to protect the company, not to protect you. But basically, long story short, showed HR the screenshots, got him fired, and then they ended up firing me. It was a whole situation, okay? So I wasn't really like comfortable telling them about the incident, right? Even though like as soon as something happens in the workplace, something that's like really bad like that, you should be able to like run to HR, tell them everything that happens, and like know that it's going to be resolved and all that stuff, right? So I kind of like went into my shell a little bit after that. And then after that job, I had like another good manager, right? So it's basically been like good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, like with all of my managers and bosses and stuff. So after that job, I worked at Aldi. I did a video about that, so go watch that video. But at Aldi, I had like good managers. Like she was literally like a year older than me. She was chill. I could like literally be my own like person, have my own personality out instead of like hiding the words I use. And like she would cuss, or like when it comes to like the customers and stuff, like customers would be like have a problem with me, then they'd be like, oh, can I talk to your manager? And she would be like backing me, like supporting literally everything I said, because we can relate to each other. She knows that the old lady complaining is probably the problem, unlike me, right? So that time she had a good relationship with her, told her everything. And then I quit after a month, and I was honest. I told her, I was like, bro, like this job is not working out, I'm stressed out, whatever, can't do this anymore. And then, I quit, right? Whereas another situation with a bad manager, I would have just been like, oh, I need to put in my 2 weeks, please, like some made up story like that, right? And then after Aldi, I had another bad manager, to the point where the workplace was just extremely toxic, working with a whole bunch of women. And then I even felt like they were a little bit racist or whatever, because they were firing the black people, but they weren't firing the white people who did even worse things and like stuff like that, to the point where I ended up hating the lady who sits at the front desk, and apparently everyone else hated her too, because they told me that when I got there. They were like, oh my gosh, she's a B word, like everybody hates her, you're gonna hate her too. But me personally, like, I try not to like judge like before I meet somebody and talk to them or whatever. But basically by the end of the job, I was just so fed up with everything, to the point where I was just like, no, I'm not gonna talk to this lady. Like, I don't have to be forced to talk to her, right? Because basically at every workplace, we go in there like 7 a.m. Everyone's like, oh, good morning, good morning. Like, even though no morning is good if I have to go to work, right? So it got to the point where I stopped saying good morning. And I feel like only like 2 people have understood that I hate saying good morning in general. Like, I just say morning because it's not a good morning. I'm not a morning person, right? So it got to the point where I just would walk in and I would have to pass the front desk lady, right? Because her office is right there. There's a big glass window to where she could see me. And I would walk by, to the point I would like not, I don't want to say like run past her little office or whatever, but I would walk really fast because I clock into work, run to the classroom or whatever, and then she would be like, morning. She would like scream it down the hall at me when I already walked past. And I was like, I'm not saying good morning to you. I don't like you, because she did things that I did not like, treated me terribly or whatever. So I just stopped saying good morning because I was like, what's the point anymore? So then it was like, it went on and on like that. I just like would stop saying good morning to her, and then I think eventually she got the point that I didn't like her, so she stopped saying good morning to me. But then she was giving me like dirty looks, and then like, I don't know, the whole office was filled with white people, and they would just give me dirty looks all the time because it was like a family owned type of business, to the point where like I can't even talk to HR because that lady is HR technically. She handles the problems and stuff, but how am I supposed to talk to her if I don't like her and she don't like me, right? And she treats people like shit and only helps out her favorite people. So that time was like terrible. I had to basically like hide my personality, and everybody liked me there. They were like, oh yeah, you're like, Tia's amazing and blah blah blah, right? Because I was friends with all my coworkers and stuff like that, but I literally just wasn't friends with the boss. Just terrible management in general. I still got to do a video about that. And then now the place that I'm at, it's good again, and I have a decent manager. And at first there was like a black lady in charge, like she was like the front desk lady, and I was like, oh, thank God there's a black woman at the head of this place, right? And then I think the first meeting we had a month in, because they have meetings every month, they were just like, the black lady, she was like, oh yeah, by the way, you guys, you can come to me if you need help, not the white lady, because I know you guys go to all her problems, go to her for all your problems, and like, you can come to me too. And then in the back, this girl shouts like, oh, she's like, oh, but you're, what did she say? She said, you're intimidating. Like, she shouted it out for the whole meeting, and I was like, oh, interesting. But like, I know the stereotype about black women is that they are seen as intimidating and like, mean or what, unapproachable, whatever like that, because she probably has resting bitch face, right? Same thing as me. But me personally, I was like, oh, well, let me see how she is, right? And then yeah, the black lady did end up getting on my nerves just with her snarky comments, and I was like, oh, I can see why people don't like her. And then she ended up transferring to another location, so now we only have the white lady. But the thing about the white lady is that her kids are mixed, because I guess her baby daddy or husband is black, so that she can relate to me because I look like her daughter. And just like how she is, she's like a chill type of person. She's straightforward. She can say stuff to your face, even if it's like mean or whatever. She handles problems right away. Like, she'll fire somebody immediately if they're doing some weird stuff, just like stuff like that. So now I'm like, because she is being her true personality, I feel like I can be my real personality, right? And a lot of people, they think I'm like quiet, innocent, keep to myself, blah blah blah, right? But me personally, I know I'm like a funny person with a great personality, blah blah blah. So it's funny because I'm like a sarcastic person with like dry humor, I would say sometimes. So people like, I'll say some stuff and then people will like laugh like really hard and they'll be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know you were that funny, you like you should talk more, but I'm like, oh okay. But basically I'm like just being open, I'm being my true self, and like I'm comfortable with my coworkers, comfortable with the boss, and even like with the parents I'm like chill, and the kids, and it's like a really chill environment. And I realized how different the workplace can be if you have a boss or a manager who is likable and approachable, and you could actually go to them for your problems and stuff like that. So now I'm like, thank God I can let out my personality. But at the same time, I've been letting it out anyways because it's like I'm almost 30. So it's like now I'm kind of like out of my shell. I can like speak up for myself if I need help or if there's a problem and like stuff like that, regardless if there's a good boss or a bad one or whatever. So it's like as I get older, it's definitely like I've like learned my lesson on a couple of things and like who to talk to, when to mind my business, and like blah blah blah. But I don't know. In the end, it's like it's just way better having my own personality out instead of having to like hold back on like what I say, what I do, how I interact, like my movements and my face, because my facial expressions are like really big. Like if I don't like something, I'm gonna be like, I just like I let out my expressions now. I don't try to like hold back or anything. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how long I'm at this job for because it's already pissing me off. And that's another thing I hate too, is like when the manager, the boss is good, the people are actually good, but overall it's just a shitty job. So it's like you're not happy. You're not happy regardless, even though everything else is good, except for the main thing, which is the job. But that's another story in itself. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more. Bye.